Howdy everybody out there in YouTube land, welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be taking a look at a card routine that I created last year, but I never actually taught it to you guys. So I figured for the holiday giveaway, we're going to do a tutorial for you. This is called an Apex in Time. So let's take a look at what that will look like. You have the past, present, and future. So let's start with the future. But before we get to the future, we're going to need some placeholders. Some predictions, if you will. Yeah, there's going to be two of them. Two placeholders or predictions. Now, if you were here, you would be able to control your own destiny and deal out the cards. But since you're not here, I'll have to do it for you. My first placeholder goes there. We do it again. We repeat for the second moment. The second placeholder. Very nice. Now, let's take a look at where we are in the present. I thought I did a different trick, because I don't know where... There's one. Should be another one here somewhere. I made him disappear. There it is. It's like... That's not the trick here today, folks. Anyway. So there we have my predictions. The 6 of Hearts and the 10 of Clubs. And here we have the two moments. The moments that I predicted, but you chose. A perfect match. So now we've predicted the future, but we're in the present because we've got here. But now we must return to the past so that we may actually carry on with the card trick. We're going to take my placeholders, my predictions. You'll understand in a moment why I keep calling them like that. Into the center. And we're going to create a mirror. These go into the time stream. These go at the beginning and the end, so that we can reunite ourselves with our past selves. A moment here, a prediction. In the center we have two. Yes, two moments. And then all the way down here at the bottom, we have another moment. Time travel is kind of weird that way. So what if we took these moments here? And we returned to the present. We have our two predictions. The placeholders now in the timeline. But only one moment, an apex, if you will, one point emerges from the center. And that moment is a paradox. The apex in time. Hope you guys enjoyed. I know it's a little funky there, but it's a tutorial. It does need a little bit of work, but that's the updated version. Last year, not so great. Sitting down and doing it in front of the camera is very difficult because there's no offbeat moment. But in reality, there would be plenty of opportunity to sneak these cards away into a pocket of any kind. Here I've got to go beneath the table, all that stuff. So let's do the setup. This deck, beautiful deck. It is Gray Riderback. Now, I will say this, and I didn't get it out beforehand, but let me see if I can find it real quick. I believe it's down, yeah, it's way down here at the bottom. This, it's retail is about $30, depending on where you get it from. Weapons deck. So this is a blue and red Riderback deck. Okay, 26 and 26 cards. I'm not going to show you them all. You'll be able to see those if you get my membership for 99 cents a month. Let's take a look here. I believe... So you can get a card like this that has the two kings. King of clubs, king of spades, something like that. Ooh, this would be a nice one. A 10 and a 6, which is actually the reverse. Kind of like what I have. Kind of, but not. It's a 10 and a 6, but not the... Oh, here's a good one. This is... Well, this actually has more than one card on it. It has 3 cards on it. But either way, there's a couple of cards in here that you could get if you wanted to make something happen. Like this. So that's what you need. You need a card that has 2 faces printed on the same side. And this comes in this deck. Okay, so that's going to be your setup is going to be... It's going to be this. You're going to get out the 2 pairs, depending on what your face card is. If you have this deck or if you have a different deck that has something like this, it's the 10 of spades and the 6 of diamonds. So that's going to be your force cards, put it that way. Now, the first trick in this I was taught, I learned it from Card Mechanic, Benit. Okay, so you can go check that out. I will try to find the link. I think he's taught it on his channel twice. As one was just a basic trick that was the actual trick, and then the second time was a more specific version using queens. And so I think that was more of an isolated version. But either way, beautiful trick, and we'll show you what that looks like here. You need to have the copies of, so in this case, the 6 of hearts and the 10 of clubs as your prediction cards. Now, what's beautiful about this, here's the setup. For this normal trick, we're going to show you that, and then we're going to add the handling for this. Okay? So these cards go into the center of the pack. Doesn't matter where or when or how. Doesn't matter. They can go anywhere. You can shuffle up the deck all you want. Doesn't matter. These cards, however, need to go on top and on bottom. Now, in the trick, in a video, when we're doing the video, you can do this. Any sort of false cuts that you want. Just doesn't matter. You can do some shuffles, but I would be very careful because you still want those cards to remain on top and bottom. Doesn't matter what order. You just want one on top, one on the bottom. Now, you can even do a riffle shuffle. Just maintain your left hand with the bottom card. Let that go first. Then shoot out the right hand and let everything fall, but holding a break on the top here so that your 6 stays on top, your 10 on bottom, then do a normal riffle. Of course, at speed and with practice, you can do this while talking. You can, just make sure you're practicing all that stuff. When you're doing it on the table, it's not going to look anything different. So keep that in mind. So we're going to do this trick without using this card first because this card doesn't come into play until the end. Okay, what I like about this version is that I don't have to load this card into the deck. I've actually, it's a stack. I've already put it into the deck, and then that way I can find it. Because I realized at no point in time do you ever really see the cards in the deck. So I could put it someplace, and as long as I carry out the routine properly, this card will be right where I know it should be, and it's in a place that I can protect it. So that's the other thing I like about it. Anywho, so here's the idea. The 6 is going to go down onto the table, which means that it's now on the bottom of the deck, because this is, you're creating another packet here, and your 10 is here. Oh, I got ahead of myself. That's okay. So we got to go through the deck, and we have to do our prediction. Now, in some ways, depending on how you're doing this trick, I would recommend you take your time, go through the deck a couple of times, maybe pick out a couple of cards that don't even mean anything, and then circle back to your 10 and the 6. So have a couple of red herrings in there, something. So that way you can isolate those two out, and that's good. The original version of this trick, I should let you know, like, because we're doing it without this, is that if you don't do the setup, you can do this trick without a setup. All you do is just have them shuffle the cards first. Then all you need to do is spread the cards out as wide as you can and look at the top and bottom card and then just find those two cards. So you can do this from no setup. In this case, though, you do this. Mind you, after they shuffle the cards, you could mix up the pack and do like this and do that, and you could put the cards wherever you want, and you could technically get into this situation, depending on your setting. You could probably get into the situation where you find the 10s and the 6s, and you just put them where you want them. You make the rules here, right? But in this case, we just did a set it up, did everything fine. Now you've got your things out here. Now we're getting into the fact that the 6 is going down. So you don't want anything to do with the 6 yet. It's the bottom card that you're worried about, because I'm exposing that here. Because when you place the placeholder there and don't flash the bottom, you drop that on top. Now you've created this situation where they are face to face with each other. Went too far, I think. Should be somewhere towards the... This is the problem I had. They disappear on you. There we go. So you can see that there's the 10 there, and then there's the 10 there. Beautiful. Now you've got the 6 on this side. So it doesn't matter if you do this, but I would still keep in mind that you want to keep the flow the same. So deal down one card, 2 cards. You know, you don't want to make it fishy and think, okay, this is different than the first time. You're just dealing out cards, but there's no risk on this one. Because you're going to put this here, and then you can put this here. Now you can do a false cut here, a false shuffle, whatever you want to do, as long as you don't disrupt. I mean, you can even cut the pack here. This is fine in this instance, but not necessarily if you have this in here. And the reason why is this. Because you can isolate this pack, and this pack, and that's fine. The 10 and 6 are not in relation to each other for the purpose of the trick, except for that they need to be sandwiched with their other card. It doesn't matter where they are in the pack. And we'll get to why, if you have another card in play and you start cutting cards, you could accidentally, let's say you go to cut, and you could grab right under this card, which would mean that this card, which could be somewhere next to one of those other cards, and now you've just cut right to it because this card has a bend from being the other way around. So just keep that in mind. So now you spread through the pack. Great. You found this here. You found this here. And this is the first trick. Already done. You found it. Boom, 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 boom. Beautiful. Okay. Very nice trick. Now let's go back to the setup for this. Well, actually, yeah, because I don't necessarily want to teach you the second part without this included, because most of that's my own handling, but I did get some ideas from I want to say it wasn't the Trick Traveler. It was another Doug Kahn trick that I can't remember what it was, but it's basically a sandwich type trick with the jokers, and it might be the Trick Traveler, but I don't think it is. Anyway, this is going to go on top, because that's going to be an isolated card, but you want to control where it's going to be at all times. So then you've got, and what's nice having it on the top is because the first deal is a little bit more controlled, because you're explaining to them what to do, so you can tell them exactly what to do, and then the next time around you don't really have to explain it as much because they already know what to do. So in this case, you want to have one of your force cards on top and bottom like before. We're not going to put these back in the pack because you're going to take them out anyway. So now keep in mind, here's what as we start going into it, you're going to tell your spectator, go ahead and deal off the cards one at a time. Maybe go ahead and do 2, 3, however you want to do, right? What that's going to do is that's going to do the same situation as before with your force card, but it's going to put this card second from the bottom. Okay? And that's going to mean something here in a little bit. Now remember, you don't want the 10, you want the 6, right? Because that's the card that's going to go here as you close that down. Now, this card means nothing, 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 nothing. We'll just put this here for that and close that up. Beautiful. Now keep in mind what I said before is that at this point, if you go to cut the cards, if you cut here, there are your 6s. You just don't want to cut this and do that. You don't want to do that. And you also want to be careful because as you're cutting, if you cut these here and they get a flash of them, then now you could potentially expose the other card, or you can mix them up, things like that. But let's say you did the same thing that you did with the 6 that I just did there, and grab the 6. But in this case, you're going to grab the 10s, and let's say you cut there. That means that theoretically, let's see where it actually should be here. So let's say you cut above them and cut this to the bottom. It's not a deal breaker, but you really wouldn't have any way of knowing, and you don't really want to get invested in doing that. So just be extra careful. You can always cut these back to here, and now I'm like cutting to the 10s, which is really weird, or to the mates. Anywho, now we're at a point here where we're going to get to the ending of this, and it's the same trick as before, except you're going to do something really interesting here. You're going to square up this pile over here and this pile here, and you're just going to give the cards a nice little cut and put them to the side. Very nonchalant, and also means nothing, right? Or does it? Because now you've controlled it to the bottom. So before I said you don't want to cut it to the bottom because you want these to stay somewhere dispersed throughout the deck. So that's kind of where you want to be concerned with giving it random cuts to manipulate the order, because then you're one way or the other. You're going to forget where or lose track of where that other card is, even though it'll be next to one of these. And then if you turn over this, they're going to see it. So you want that to be hidden in the center when it's like this and it's spread out because you just took the cards out. You can square this up over here and square this up over here, and so now you have control over what's happening with that bottom card. Okay? Good. Now you expose these two. Very nice. Here are your force cards. Here are your prediction cards. Now you're going to take your prediction cards and you're going to put them into the center of the pack. The center. Have them sticking out a little bit. It's a good deal. Now, when you do the next move, you're going to want the cards to end up in the middle the same way that they're facing. So by putting that on the bottom and this one on top, you have a mirrored effect. Right? Because if you have this here and this here, no, you don't want that. Now what I like to do here is I like to pull this down, which gives you coverage for the bottom, and pull this down, leaving these out a little bit. As you spread through the cards, they're naturally going to just come down, and you can use your thumb to pull them down. The reason why you want to do that is because as your hands are here, pulling them down gives you the opportunity to place them into these fingers without losing track of them. And you're going to separate them with a break as you square up the pack. So now you've got this little thing going on here in between the two of them, so that you can execute a turnover pass. Now, I've been doing turnover pass for a while, and that right there is a very smooth. I can do it invisibly sometimes, but it's all about angling and posture. I really want to talk about that. We're going to bring out a different pack so that we don't disrupt this, because I want to spend some time with the turnover pass, because this is a move that I use a lot, and I think that you guys would benefit from having. Okay, and the turnover pass is basically just this. So I'm going to teach this portion, which I learned from Alex Pandrea, and that's the idea that you should start, instead of doing a pick a card routine, you should have them select a card, not at random, but just point to any card. Let's say they want a nice old 3. Okay, 3 of clubs. You want the 3 of clubs? Now, if you just did it face on like this, you're going to see the exposed view as this rotates down and this stays up here. So my recommendation would be is to turn, showing everybody, rotate here, because this hand will provide cover for the rotation. You're going to create a T, turnover, T, letting this packet come all the way around as you slide this packet up and over, and as you rotate back, you're going to, okay, you're going to square it up. So from here, oh, you like the 7 of clubs? You like the 7 of clubs? Very nice. Let's go ahead and take the 7 of clubs, and we're going to make it jump. We said the 7 of clubs, not the 4 of clubs, right? No, that's still somewhere about 32 down. That's where your 7 of clubs is, right? So, turnover pass is a control, and this goes with the Herman pass and the classic pass, but the turnover pass is nice. Now, concerning the fact with using it like this is from Alex Pandrea, a tried and tested magician instructor, is that you want to do it face up as a good way to gain control of that card. Now, the way that you would gain control of the card is whether you have it on top or bottom, which means, is it part of this packet or is it part of this packet? Because this packet is going to be the top and this packet is going to be the bottom because you're switching them. You're cutting the deck, but invisibly. It's an invisible pass. So this is the turnover pass. Let's say we want it on top. That means that we just simply have to control it to the top. Let's say we want the 7 of clubs again, but we want it on the bottom. Now it's on the bottom. Now the nice thing about that is, let's say you do something like this where you got the good old ace of diamonds, the ace of diamonds, right? And the joker's on top because the joke's on you, right? Because there's your ace of diamonds right there. Turnover pass. It's a beautiful pass. Now what I'm doing the pass for is I'm actually switching 2 sets of cards. Now this is the idea that I got from Doug Kahn, because he does precisely this thing. So now you have a card on top, you've got the card on the bottom. Now here's where I go back and forth, and this is something that you can play around with, is what handling works best for you and how this would work for you, because showing the top card, easy peasy. Now as you're going through the pack, you can actually bring these 2 out, which is the middle moments. Call this card. Call it. Because you're keeping it like this, you're showing them this, and you can keep that card contained in a call as you come down to the bottom. Now, you can show this card here and put it back before you square it up to show the 2 cards sticking out. And that card is back, protected, it's good. But you see something fishy there, right? This should be on the bottom. So if anybody's super perceptive, they're going to know that that shouldn't be on the bottom, especially if you're exposing this. So that's why I like this idea better, where you don't do the move until the end. And what that would look like is this. You show this here. Beautiful. You come through here. You don't want this down because then they'll see the flash on that. You want to bring it up. Okay? You still want to stick these up, and you want to call this card, but you don't want to bring it to the bottom. You want to keep it right there in the center. Okay? Right in the center. The reason why you want to do that is for this particular reason here. As you come through the cards and you show the bottom card, you're clean. They can't see that sticking out the bottom there. Now you're going to execute a nice little pass-through move, which means you're going to take these and you're going to push down on a corner, and you're going to line that up with the bottom card, which is the one that you've already had out here. It's going to guide right down to there. You want that about halfway out of there, right? Because that easily allows you to get a break. And this is where we're going to execute our turnover pass, which is beautifully deceptive because you're turning over the pack, which you know this is happening, but you're doing everything under hiding purposes back here. Okay? Now, here's the concern. Here's the concern. Because you need to get... Hold on, I'm getting a little topsy-turvy here. This one's going to go... Yeah. Okay. So it's here, here. You need to get it to the bottom. So after showing this here, you're going to want to get this card to the bottom, which can work like this. So these are going to stick out. This one's going to be here, but still holding the place for these. And then you can show this card in a, rather, you can drop this into a cop, point here, then place these back here as you show these two cards, square up, go into that same move that we talked about here, because this makes the turnover execution so much better, right? Because this is what they expect to see here. Now you've got this condition going on here, which allows you to easily cop these here as you send this out into the universe and let them look at this here for a second. Because this is exactly what they were just looking at, was a face down card, but the deck was face up. So they don't, there's nothing happening here that they might think. I mean, obviously it's a magic show and you're doing a card trick, but in this moment right here, this looks the same. But the trick is over, but it's not done yet, because you have exposed, this is the same idea. Now you can even keep these in a cop. If you don't want to get rid of them, you can keep them in a cop. We're going to leave those out because we're going to take them out anyway. But after you're here and you spread here, you take those out, you could easily, trust me, you could point here, drop these right here, and then square up the pack and get rid of them. And nobody's going to see anything. Trust me, I see people do this. I see people steal a card here, grab a pack, and nobody sees anything. Okay? You can get away with it because of blind spots, right? So we're just going to turn over these two cards here. They're on the bottom. You're going to spread out the pack. You're going to take these out. Even with this here, be mindful of where the cards are so that you're not like doing that. But just get these out and then just go ahead and drop these here as you messily push the deck together. And now put these on display. One single card. What is it? What is the card? Well, it of course is both cards combined together into an apex, into one single point, creating a paradox. And the reason why that pattern, for me anyway, is because it's a single point in time, which is an apex, and a paradox usually is a whirlwind of a moment, and it messes with the time stream. And so paradox works with that because it creates this contradiction that works, because it's the same cards from the trick. So all of that combined creates an apex in time. So I hope you enjoyed. I really do. I hope you enjoyed. This is sloppy, a sloppy tutorial in a way. But that's because it's a work in progress. Everything is always a work in progress and can get better. That's it. That's all there is to it. It can get better. And mind you, I was going through my videos to find something else, and I found this in my library, and I'm like, I can do it better. And I think I can. I really do think I can at this point. So that's all we have. That's all we have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. And remember, stay positive, stay active, and stay awesome. And I hope to see you in the next one. And don't forget, make sure you subscribe over here. And make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all that stuff. The next video is just for you. So, and they could be reversed because I don't remember which side goes which way.